in this video, I'm gonna go over common mistakes that are ruining your thumbnails and 5 ways that you can instantly make them 10 times better for free.
But wait, there's more!
And stick around to the end because I'm gonna show you how to never run out of thumbnail ideas. Imagine this. You work really hard on a video. I mean, you spend hours shooting, researching, editing. This may be your prized possession. This is your baby. So you hit upload, or at least you almost do, because you forgot that you need to make a thumbnail for the video. So you run over Canva and you spend 2 minutes making the thumbnail. You take a screenshot from your video, you put some text on it to represent your super amazing YouTube video, and you hit upload. But what you realize is when people open up their YouTube homepage, they're scrolling through looking for a video to watch, and they see your super amazing YouTube video, and what they think is,
oh brother, this guy stinks!
And the reason that is because the only thing that you showed them was the thumbnail that you spent 3 minutes on. Okay, there's a few reasons that your thumbnails may look like hot garbage, but it's okay, they don't have to stay that way. So the first reason your thumbnail might not be appealing to the people that are scrolling through the homepage is because the elements of your thumbnail are just too small. What you have to remember is about 40% of people are watching YouTube on their phones, so your small thumbnail is going to look even smaller on the small screen. You can see here that with these small elements, not only would it be hard to see, but it also just feels a little bit off. But there's a super easy solution to this, and it's called fill the frame. So with your images and your text, you want to fill that space that they give you to make sure your thumbnails are standing out in the sea of other videos. Now the next common mistake is for those who use faces in their thumbnails. Now I'm sure if you spent any amount of time on YouTube, you realize that a lot of people like to use faces in their thumbnails, and funny ones to say the least. But a common mistake I see with those faces is a lot of times the picture that they use is just too dark. Now there's actually a quick way that you can see if your thumbnail sticks out. So what I do is I open up Photoshop. So I made this thumbnail visualizer, and basically what I do is I take a screenshot of my homepage just to see the thumbnails there, and then I cut one out, and whatever thumbnail that I'm making, I put it in there and see if it stands out. And you can see with this space, it doesn't stand out that much, but if you just turn the brightness up a little bit, it stands out much more. So once your thumbnail is bright enough, it can still be super unpleasing to look at. And one of the reasons that is because it has no contrast. Okay, so let me warn you, because what I'm about to show you is very disturbing to look at, but I need to show it in order to prove this point. Okay, I am sorry that I'm showing you this. White text on yellow background is just hard to look at. And the reason is because it has no contrast. You want your text and your images to stand out from one another. I mean, come on, look at these thumbnails. See, much better. And what's the difference? Contrast. And there are 3 easy ways that you can add more contrast to your thumbnails to make them stand out. You can see in a lot of these thumbnails are using contrasting colors or hues. This is one of the easiest, but also one of the most effective ways to achieve contrast in your thumbnails. But how do you do that? Where do you actually start picking the colors? Well, what you do is you go to Google and Google color wheel, and you'll be using colors that are on the opposite side of the color wheel. Now, a good place to start is just by using orange and teal. A lot of thumbnails use that, and a lot of Hollywood movies use that. Going along with contrasting colors, one of the other ways you can achieve contrast is by using contrasting saturations. And one easy way to do this is having an object in the foreground that has a lot of saturation, and then having your background with little to no saturation. When you see these on your homepage, they are just begging to be clicked. And going hand in hand with saturation is using contrasting values. So you can have an object that's very light in the foreground and then using a very dark background. Okay, so I've seen some thumbnails that really do pop, but they honestly look more like a grocery store ad. There is 1 million things to look at, and honestly, this is not it. You see, if your audience is overwhelmed or overstimulated or just confused, they're probably not going to click on your thumbnails. And actually, I've studied a lot of successful thumbnails, and I saw that there's a trend on the exact amount of elements that you need to use. And this is called the 3 object rule. I've looked at so many successful thumbnails, and almost all of them use just 3 different objects. A lot of them use a face, an object, and some text. That's your 3 objects. And the reason this works is because it's simple enough to be readable, but then it's also interesting enough to still earn that click. So out of the 19 elements that you want to choose, go ahead, just choose 3 of them using a face, an object, and a little bit of text. This next mistake I learned probably just in the last couple months, but now I'm convinced that this is the most important one. Because if you can get this right, basically all the other mistakes don't really even matter. For so many thumbnails, the reason people are scrolling by, not clicking your thumbnails, and crushing your dreams in the process is because unfortunately your thumbnails are not interesting enough. Actually, I had someone review my early thumbnails, and this is one of the things that he said about mine. And not gonna lie, at first I was slightly offended. But as I was thinking about it, making an interesting thumbnail really does come down to one word, and it's the word curiosity. And the problem that I was having is there was nothing curious about my thumbnails. I was giving all of the answers away right in the start. Now, look at these other thumbnails, and these, they make you curious. They make you ask a question. What's going to happen? Or, no way, does that actually happen? So they put these questions in your mind, and the only way that you can get the answer is by clicking the video and watching it. And this doesn't have to be Mr. Beast style extreme videos. They can be simple too. Just don't give everything away in your title and thumbnail. Let me ask you this. Have you ever sat down to make a thumbnail and then you have like zero ideas? Like you're staring at that blank canvas and it's mocking you, telling you you'll never amount to anything because you can't even think of a simple thumbnail idea. And you don't want to just resort to the typical face plus pointing to text because you've already used that like 1,000 times. You want to make a good thumbnail like all your favorite YouTubers. Well, I actually found a way that can basically guarantee that you never run out of thumbnail ideas. And it's called a swipe file.
Say it with us. Swipe or no swiping.
And basically what a swipe file is, it's a place where you collect your favorite thumbnails from all over YouTube all in one place and you use those as inspiration. Now, if you look at my own swipe file, I use a program called Notion to organize all of these. You'll see that I have some of the best creators on the platform. And one of the reasons that they're on the top of their game is because of their thumbnails. Just looking through all of these when I'm making my own thumbnails usually is enough to give me some inspiration. But also when you're doing this, you want to start looking for patterns. And what you want to do is you want to steal like an artist. That means not just copying one exactly, but you take elements from a bunch of different thumbnails and bring them all together into one masterpiece. Thumbnails are really such a big part of having a successful YouTube video. And one person that has just made banger after banger thumbnail is Ryan Trahan. So if you want to figure out how he makes his viral thumbnail ideas, you can watch this video here. Hey, if you found this helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and I'll see you next time.